Hey guys, welcome to the Geek Dunk. Today we're talking Reminiscence.
That's right, everybody. Is this one of those movies that's worth watching over and over again and reminiscing about? Or is this one of those movies you wish you'd forgotten and never saw to begin with? Stick around, because we're about to find out.
Okay, Billy, Reminiscence. This movie just came out on HBO Max and it's in theaters. Who we got in this movie?
I don't know, man. I forgot all about this movie already. we got Hugh Jackman, we got Thandiwe Newton, and we got, Sarah Ferguson?
Rebecca Ferguson?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. And I tell you what, I'm a huge fan of old Hugh Jackman.
Oh, dude, Hugh Jackman's typically awesome, you know?
Yeah, I love that guy.
Yeah.
I liked him in The Greatest Showman, the Wolverine, and the X-Men movies. The guy's just awesome.
Oh, absolutely, dude. I'm a Hugh Jackman. I'm a huge Jackman fan. I'm a huge Hugh Jackman fan. I agree with you. I mean, dude, pretty much anything this guy's in, he does a great job. And, and more so, I think, because he's in it, right? I think he's just a phenomenal actor for the most part and brings a lot to the table when, in the movies he's in. I mean, there's a few hit or misses here and there, like original, what was that very first, the very first Wolverine movie, like where that
was it Wolverine Origins or something?
Yeah, something like that. That one wasn't that great, but I mean, other than that, the rest of them were
But
good.
he's awesome as that character.
Oh, he is awesome as that character, exactly. Just the movie was not very well written. But yeah, man, no. Typically, when you go into a Hugh Jackman film expecting big things, right? You're expecting you're going to enjoy it and it's going to be a good movie.
And I really like The Prestige. If you guys haven't seen The Prestige, check that one out. It's a good movie.
That is probably one of my favorite Hugh Jackman movies.
Christian Bale.
Oh, dude, that movie was phenomenal. Yeah, Michael Caine. And that movie was awesome.
We're talking Reminiscence today, though, unfortunately.
That's right.
But
we ain't talking no Prestige today.
And Rebecca Ferguson was with Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman, and I really like those two working together in that.
Yeah, so I get crapped on in this house here recently because I've never seen that movie.
Huge.
So I know I need
Greatest
to check
Showman
it out.
fans,
Right, I know I need to check it out because everybody says it's a great movie. But that's one of the few I haven't seen yet, so I need to catch up on that.
Yeah, it feels like a live action like Disney cartoon come to life.
Yeah, but much better than a Disney one, right?
No, I like the old school Disney cartoons.
No, I mean better than the Disney live action.
Oh yeah, probably for the most part.
Right.
Who else is in this? You got the girl from Westworld.
Yeah, the girl from Westworld. Well, Thandiwe Newton's also in Westworld. But then you got the other girl from Westworld. So you got two people from Westworld in this. Thandiwe Newton is great in Westworld. And again, she's one of those characters I like watching too. I like watching Thandiwe Newton in shows. I think she's a great actress. And most of the stuff I see her in, I typically enjoy for the most part. But this one, man, again, there's nothing that could save this movie.
Rebecca Ferguson was also the woman in a lot of the Mission Impossible, the recent Mission Impossible movies.
Yeah.
So, but let's get into this movie. What do we think?
First of all, this movie is way too long. They could have cut this movie down to about 30 minutes and, just had the main story for it and been done, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't know what it is, but this movie, it feels very dry.
Oh, it's super dry.
And it's got an interesting concept, though. I was like waiting for it to be a prestige type of movie, but because it had potential.
No, it's got a great concept. You're thinking it's futuristic, though. I don't think they ever tell you what time frame it actually is. They mentioned the Great War, that happened, and you hear people talk about being veterans of the war and how crazy it was. And of course, Hugh Jackman and Thandiwe Newton were both, I guess, part of the same squad during the war. And they were buddies in the war, and that's how they've come to work together afterwards.
It takes place in Miami in the somewhat near future, and the city's flooded because of global warming. People normally just come out at night because it's too hot during the day.
Right, exactly. So basically, it's just the opposite of everything is now, right? During typically you got your normal 9 to 5 daytime here. Just think about that reverse where everything's active during the nighttime and you do all your shopping and you're working and the kids going to school and all that at night. And during the daytime, you're sleeping. It's pretty much how this whole, how the show.
And I was hoping this movie would have like a little Total Recall going on. And it's got that for like a second, but
for about half.
Not near as cool as Total Recall, unfortunately.
Well, and again, the premise was cool, right? Like I liked the reminiscent machine and kind of like how when people, the thing is, they're evidently the future is so bad, which. It didn't look any worse than what you've seen in some other movies, right? It didn't look like it was that bad to where you just hate your life and want to die, but they make it seem like it's that bad. So you got this reminiscent machine that they used to use for interrogations, for getting information out of people, that now they use for leisure activity where people can just remember their past thoughts and their past experiences, and it just comes to life in their brain as if they're really going through it. And then, of course, Hugh Jackman and Thandiwe Newton are actually watching what happens, during these reminiscent things. And I guess it's kind of cool too, because like, say you left your keys somewhere, which is kind of a thing that happens in the movie. You can go to these folks, but man, I lost my keys. I don't know where it's at. Okay, no worries. I'll hook you up to the machine. Like, your keys you left them under the desk 2 days ago or whatever. So it's kind of cool, I guess, that you could use this machine for those purposes, right? But it was a great premise, but just the play out of it was just horrible, I thought, man.
And this is a huge mystery movie.
Yeah.
But the problem with it is it never gets you invested in the mystery.
No.
You just don't care. Like, Hugh Jackman meets this woman and falls in love with her, and you're supposed to care about him finding this woman and hunting her down, but you just really don't. No. At least I didn't.
No, you don't, because it's just so slow and drug out, right? I mean, they just drag this out so long and just make it so slow, and it's like, come on, man, are we ever going to get to really what's going on here? And you feel like you're never going to get to it, and you're like half falling asleep trying to just stay awake long enough to hoping you're going to get to something good.
And they just didn't make it interesting, the spark between the two of them, and it just... They didn't really showcase why this guy should care so much about her.
No. I mean, and they flat out tell you they've known each other for like 2 months, right? So they're on this little romance for like 2 months, and he falls in love with her, and then comes to find out, she stabbed him in the back. And we're not getting any spoilers on this one because it's not worth it, because this just wasn't a fun movie. If it was a fun movie, then it's cool to talk about spoilers and all the exciting stuff that happened in it. But this one, there was none of that, right? There was nothing. I think there was like one action scene in this movie, one major fight, and that was about it.
I actually had a very hard time focusing on the plot of this, just because I was so disinterested in what was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So they get so he gets himself involved with this woman who is involved in other stuff, and she basically uses him, to get to that other stuff, but it just never gives you that feel good, man. That like, I'm into this, it's just like, okay, I can kind of see what's going on here. It'd been great if you'd have made it more exciting and more passion involved in the movie and in the writing, and not just drug it along in just so many dull and dreary moments throughout the movie. There are a ton of like dull and dreary moments where it's just dragging and just just conversation after conversation, and just, it's like, come on, where's the good stuff, man? And they just didn't bring the good stuff, and it was super disappointing.
Yeah, and there's hardly any action in this.
Yeah,
I mean, there is like one action scene that's kind of interesting. There's like an Asian guy what's that guy's name?
Yeah, he's the guy from I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Wu, I think.
Yeah. He's in Enter the Badlands, which is a phenomenal show. I love that show, and I loved his character in it. And you've seen him in some other action movies. He's a martial artist, and he does a good job.
I enjoyed like his acting in this scene.
Yeah,
he's like a drug dealer or something like that.
Yeah.
I need for $1 million baht at 10 pallets.
Ball, okay? You got balls, bocce sized.
Let's discuss payment.
Alas, payment is not the Wendy holding up this transaction, Pengyo. It's trust.
Plays St. Joe's his name in the movie, and the little bit that he's in the movie, that little bit's exciting, I guess, right? That's a little bit of excitement you get out of the movie, is the fight scenes with him and stuff. But I mean, other than that, there really isn't much to, it just didn't bring anything to the table, I thought.
No, it just rests on like your interest in the story, but like in the mystery, and like I said, they didn't draw you in with it.
No, and they could have made this a much more interesting story. They could have had more action. They could have had more just passion in it, man. It was just slow and dull, and it was
it's not very funny. There's no comedic moments really in this at all.
Right.
There's no like rom-com, like the love parts aren't that great.
No, not at all.
It's pretty much devoid of action, so it's kind of like, what are you left with?
Right, and what was the purpose of making this movie without all of that, right? And and I was disappointed, man. I was disappointed, going into a Hugh Jackman film with no action, and no great just anything, I mean, it was just drawn out. I mean, it was almost like just a crappy Private Eye kind of, show.
I mean, that's what it was, essentially. Private Eye movie, and
but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
And I was it just fell flat. It fell really, really flat, this movie did. And I was very disappointed with this movie.
Yeah, like I said, watching this at home with like your tablet or phone, it's hard not to like pick that up and lose focus on what's going on in the movie, because it's like, what? No,
the only reason I stayed focused in this movie is because we were going to be reviewing it. Right, like I mean, I lost interest in this movie probably within the first half hour of it, just because how slow and dull and dragging out it was, and it took forever to get to anything decent, any kind of decent scenes, and they were few and far between. The very few action scenes we talked about, the very few any decent scenes in this movie were just very few and far between. And for a movie that was 2 hours long, it's just you just can't expect people to stay interested in it.
Yeah, and I mean, I was so disinterested. I had to go and read the plot to do this review, and the actual plot isn't too bad.
No.
It's just the way it's filmed,
Out,
and
yeah.
it's just not interesting.
Exactly.
So, and I mean, the plot is pretty typical of a private eye kind of movie,
Right.
You know?
Yeah, well, yeah, and the plot was actually, like you said, it was an interesting plot. It was
But
a
with
good
that
idea.
machine, they could have thrown a lot in there, because in the
Yeah.
beginning, there's some scenes that you don't know if they're reality or if they're in the machine.
Right,
But they
exactly.
don't play on that very much.
No, they don't.
And like
And
when
they
they
totally
do play
could've.
on it, it's kind of meaningless.
Right, exactly.
So you're like, oh man, that was like a wasted moment.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, and there's tons of those wasted moments in this movie, and yeah, man, it just was not a good movie. You know, I mean, just flat out was not a good movie. I mean,
All right, so what do you rate this?
dude, I'm giving this movie probably like a 3. I mean, it was awful. You know, and the 3 is being generous because the acting was good. You know, I mean, for what the actors were given, they're still good actors. You know, and their acting in the movie was good. It just there was nothing for them to work with. You know,
I thought Hugh Jackman was kind of devoid of any emotion though, too, for whatever reason.
for some of it, yeah.
So
No,
I
I
mean, he
agree.
didn't convince me of the love scene, and like I said, there's no comedy, so it's like,
Yeah, well, and one thing I will say about the love scenes, what I did notice is it. So, was this movie PG-13 or R? I don't remember.
PG-13.
I think it was
I
PG-13.
can't imagine anything
because
making
there
it R
were.
in this.
I mean, there were several love scenes in this movie between him and her, but they were all like fully clothed love scenes, right? Like they were getting together in bed and stuff, getting ready to do their thing, but it's fully clothed, and like you said, there's just not really a lot of passion in it, and there's not, so that yeah, I mean, I agree with you with that as far as just kind of.
Yeah, I mean,
that void feeling.
they're in love because they tell you in love. They don't really
that's it.
show it like,
Right.
like, oh yeah, I could see how this guy fell for this woman and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah. No. Absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm kind of torn between a 3 and a 4. It's definitely not better than that. That's for sure. I mean, a movie didn't even keep my interest, so I'll probably give it a 4 just because I like the actors and.
Right.
But I mean, it was pretty rough.
Yeah, it was, man.
I can't imagine this movie being in theaters and people going to see it and paying money.
Oh yeah.
Especially in a COVID environment.
Right, exactly. No, I mean, good thing it was on HBO Max, man. Because had I went and saw this in a theater, I'd have been pretty ticked off. Like,
yeah.
Can't believe I just paid money to watch.
I
this,
mean,
you
that
know?
would have been one I would maybe even consider walking out. Maybe.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Possibly. If
I
you were
mean,
reviewing.
you got Hugh Jackman, so you think something good might happen at some point.
Right.
But you're like,
and that's
come
the
on.
thing. And that's the thing. You're like waiting and waiting and waiting, and it's like, what the heck's going on, man? Come on, show us something in this movie.
And
they
I would
just
say
don't.
the actual mystery is not bad. It's just the
Yeah.
way it
No,
played out.
Yeah, just the writing sucked, and the way they played it out, and just how long and drawn out this movie was. They could have. The premise was a good premise, and they could have done something great with it, and they didn't.
And they
it was
skip
unfortunate.
around like from scene to scene sometimes, which is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah, I was not a fan, and it sucks because I wanted to be. Yeah, I wanted to like this movie. I went into it like, oh man, this is kind of cool. We got a new Hugh Jackman flick coming out. The trailer looked good. The trailer made it look cool. Like it was gonna be a cool premise. It was like, and it was like, okay, yeah, all right. And then you start watching it, and it's like, oh man, it's like, where are we going here?
well, this is not one of the good ones, guys.
No, definitely not fun. But hey, if you disagree with us, I'd be surprised if you did. But if you do, let us know. Just let us know how you felt about the movie. If you like our channel, hit like and subscribe, and we'll check you guys in the next review.
See you guys.
This movie actually worth reminiscing about, or is this something you for?
Typical shenanigans.
Yeah.
Oh man, we both got the grunt style on today.
Yeah, look at that. Rest style, baby.
Yeah, you gotta wear that Texas thing when you're about to crap on something.
Mm-hmm.
So people know where
right.
you're coming from. Like, yeah. Typical Texas curmudgeon. These lights feel bright today. Don't look at them. Don't look at them. They'll get you.
That's right, everybody. Is this movie worth an enjoying and watching and reminiscing and missing about?
Blah, 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 blah.
I think it is. Not. All right.
Hey guys, welcome to brought too much energy there. This ain't that kind of movie.
Yeah.
This ain't that kind of movie, Gizmo. Felt like I wasted 2 hours. Maybe I should have gave it something lower, but like I said, when I read the plot just now, I was like, no, I mean, I get it, but like you didn't entertain me with it.
Why are you really here?